Good evening, ladies, gents and Pikachus, welcome back. I have a very, very stark warning for you, which I pray that you listen to. I really hope that you listen to this. So, I want to talk to you about the difference between a charity case, who you will help out in good faith, and someone who is ambushing you to steal that charity from you. I'm your host, Daily Corvid. Let's get started. So, I want to tell you a story about someone who lives near to me. I'm not going to give you his name. I'm going to give you some details so that you can recognise people like him in your life where you live. Because this is something that is going to be affecting you now that you probably haven't actually spotted. So there's a local shop near me. I visit it like 2-3 times a week. I walk there. And then when I get back, I go on a litter pick, and I litter pick around my whole housing estate where I live. So I see everything that happens. Anyone drops anything on the floor, I will find it. Keys, passports, whatever. And I'm very observant. So the people I see milling around who are just randoms, over the time of me living here doing those litter picks, I now know who they are. I know where they live. I know what their schedule is. I know which car is theirs. I know who they hang out with. I know all this stuff just from being observant from those litter picks. Nobody else does litter picks. They don't know any of this stuff. There's a guy that sits outside the front of the shop. He's a Muslim. And he dresses like a beggar. And he sits there with a blanket over him. And he holds his arm out and he begs for money, food, anything you can give him. I've given him money a few times in the past when I first moved here. And all this time I thought he was a charity case, right? Because he looks like one. And even though I'm a Christian and he's a Muslim and there's a jihad on and everything in my soul is telling me don't give this guy anything, I'm a Christian. I can't resist on the occasions when I gave him food and money. And he's outside the shop. So it's difficult not to. Not so long ago I was on a litter pick and I came round the corner to put my bag in the bin. And as I was stuffing this Sainsbury bag full of crisp packets and dog poo into the bin, who do I see coming out of a really posh BMW on the driveway of a nice big house? But I see this guy who dresses up like a beggar. So it turns out he isn't really a beggar. He's actually a local resident. But the problem is, when he's dressed up as a local resident, he doesn't look the same as when he's dressed up as a beggar. The only reason I knew it was him because I was so close I could actually physically recognise his face, even though he's got a big beard on. And it was definitely the same guy. So I just had like a kind of mid-level argument with some of my people, and they were saying to me, you should give this guy charity. When he asks for charity, you should freely give it to him. You're a Christian, you know, feed thine enemy, love thine enemy, all the rest of it. And I agree with that most of the time. This guy doesn't need food. When he's sitting there doing that begging, then going back to his BMW and his 5-bedroom super expensive house and his 2 wives. Well, I don't know about the 2 wives bit, but I'm sure he's got a big family. He's got a big enough house. It's not just going to be him in there. When he's going back to his house, do you think he's using that charity that I gave him? Do you think the sandwich that I bought him and the £5 of change I gave him are actually funding his lifestyle? No. He's got more money than I have. He's driving a brand new super expensive BMW, living in a huge 5-bedroom house in the upmarket place in the estate where I live. He is like the upmarket version of me. So why is he outside the shop begging for money every single day? I don't know, I can't tell you. But what I can tell you, now that I have read this book, The Reliance of the Traveller, which is the Islamic Sharia, and the different non-Sharia laws are in there as well. And since I have an understanding of jihad from this Quran of the Muslims, now that I've read these 2 books, I think I can understand why that guy who has a lot of money and is clearly a highly educated, intelligent man who is a Muslim, why he dresses up like a beggar and sits on the floor with a blanket over his knees every other day outside the shop begging for money. And why, if I questioned him about this, which I should have done but I didn't, he would absolutely deny that he did that. He'd say, oh, it must have been my brother or my cousin or it's someone else, or you're racist, we all look the same to you. He'd say something like that. He would never admit to it, even if I showed him the evidence. And he would still be doing it. He's doing that because he is funding something outside of his own life, and that is the money he's using. So he doesn't want to take money out of his life to give towards whatever he's funding. He's making his enemies fund whatever he's funding. So what could he possibly be funding that he is making his enemies pay for? Considering what we know about these two books and what we know about the tactics in use by the jihadis. Perhaps he is funding the jihad with the money that is given to him while he pretends to be a beggar, so that when he goes home he doesn't have to contribute from his own money, because we know from these two books that is exactly the advice that Allah and his mosque will have given him. And indeed, if he doesn't do it that way, and he doesn't want to give them his own money to fund it, he is a criminal in the eyes of the mosque, and he is an infidel in the eyes of Allah. Because remember, these guys have their own law codes in these books here, and they supersede our law. Even though he's living here, in his head, we stole this land from Allah. It should be Islamic already. And we are at war with Allah because we don't bow to him. And that is why they say the jihad is deserved, because we are dirty, immoral pigs. Our hearts have been sealed in with evil by Allah. And that is the reason why he wants me to pay him money as if he's a beggar, and everyone else who passes him at the shop door, and then goes home in a nice posh brand new BMW to a 5-bedroom house in a posh suit. It's the same guy. Exactly the same guy. I saw him, I was like this far away. He didn't notice me. Why would he notice me? I look like a beggar. I was doing a litter pick, covered in rubbish in my worst clothes, carrying a bag full of tin cans and, little bags full of dog poo that I'd pick up and throw away. I wasn't even on his radar, despite the fact that I had earlier given him money, like months ago. But he was on my radar. And that's what I would like you to think about. The conclusion of this video, ladies, gents and Pikachus, is this. Yes, give charities generously. I do. If you're a Christian, you will. You won't need me to tell you. But make sure, when you are giving charity to feed the hungry, that you are not taking that charity away from the truly hungry, that actually deserve that charity, and giving it to guys like him, who actually don't need that charity and aren't hungry at all, but are trying to deceive you via the instructions that Allah has given him in these books here, in order that he himself doesn't have to pay for the jihad he is participating in, which results in our deaths and the destruction of our culture, our faith, and our country, effectively. Please be aware of this. So I get it, okay? It's a big thing to say, yes, and you won't get there straight away. Trust me, it took me many years to accept this as true. It's a horrible thing to happen, and this is why we need to accept these guys are of Satan. They are evil. Only evil people would ever do that and think it was moral, and that is what they are doing. So, be as wise as wolves first, then be as gentle as doves. That's the order that we are told by Jesus in the good book, the Holy Bible, how we should do it. It's not gentle as doves, then be wise as wolves, because that will leave you open to ambush by this guy and guys like him. Be as wise as wolves first, then you can be as gentle as doves and you won't be putting yourself in any danger. But I guarantee you, there are many guys like him pretending to be beggars, sitting with a blanket over them, covered in dirt, with horrible clothes on, hand up in the air, trying to beg to get you to give them money, food, whatever you will give them. And then going home in a posh brand new BMW to sit in front of a 65-inch plasma screen and laugh at you for having done that charity. And the same time that that's happening, an actual charity case has gone without. You know, the person who you thought you were giving the money to, but you weren't. That guy. So please, I beg you, pray on it if you have to. Make sure you discern when you are giving charities away to Muslims. Is this an actual charity case who is deserving of my pity and my money? Or is this person looking at me like a charity case, and the charity they want to give me is Allah's mercy in the way described in here? So, they're not going to openly say that, and they will deny it. And if I bring it up to them, they will call me a racist with a false accusation in order to take the focus away from them so that they don't get discovered, and put the focus on me so that they can go, you see, Christians are bad. Like, please figure it out. I know it's difficult and it is not nice. It's a jihad that we are suffering at the moment. We can see that every day when we look on the TV, when we listen to the radio, when we watch our YouTube videos. This is happening now, and if we are not discerning, it will be right up behind us and we won't even know it's there. And then, off with your head, you're dead. I've seen it a million times. I've had it happen to me. I had a friend on Discord. I gave him some money so that he could escape his country that were persecuting him because he was an ex-Muslim trying to be a Christian. He never left that country. He's still there now. He never became a Christian. He was lying. He lied to get me to give him my charity. And in doing so, he took the charity that I would have given a real charity case and put it towards Islam. And I will not be doing that again. So, like I say, discern, use your wits. Yes, give charities, but give it to the right people. And make sure it's not these guys. Because they will stab you in the back and they will cheer. That is Islamic morality, unfortunately. That's what we're dealing with, the jihad. So we're getting a bit long in the tooth now. I feel like I've made my point. Hopefully you enjoyed that and you learnt something and you listened. God bless you all. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. That guy is a wolf in sheep's clothing. So of course he wants to appeal to the kindness of the other sheep. He's a hungry wolf. Don't be caught out by these guys. Be discerning, be aware, be smart. That's all for now. God bless you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.